let's talk to the mayor of the New Mexico town. The name of the town, Artesia, New Mexico. The mayor, Phillip Burch, joining us now. Mr. Mayor, we thank you for your time. Welcome to America's Forum.
Good morning, Congressman. How are you today?
Mayor Burch, I'm fine. I'm curious. Update us on what has happened there in Artesia. You have that new center. Is it still in lockdown?
It is until the 10th of this month. The operation here has kind of been fits and starts. They get into business and then they have a case of chicken pox, which causes a quarantine period of 21 days. And that one gets, they get past that one, and then they have another one, and they're in their third at this point. That 21 days will end on the 10th of October.
But Mr. Mayor, I want to make sure I understand. It's more than just chicken pox. Although we know for adults, chicken pox can be a serious condition. There are other public health risks at this center, are there not?
Well, that's the only one that we've, of course, had a great deal of concern. There are instances of lice as far as the children are concerned and scabies, but in terms of disease, the only thing that's been experienced is chicken pox. We see quite a number of people testing positive for skin tests for TB, follow-up chest x-rays of all of the people who have had these positive tests have turned up negative, so there's not an instance of active TB in the community.
Mayor Burch, we do want to reference that we're looking at file video. Also, you know, in light of recent events, Ebola and enterovirus, are you concerned about any of this making its way into the detention center?
Of course, you're always concerned about it. The biggest concern we have is that initially we were told that people would be examined before they were brought here. What we ended up finding out is that was the examination was a cursory how are you feeling and do you have a fever type of thing before they were sent, and all of the follow-up examinations were here. So, of course, the threat of bringing something into the community from countries that do experience different diseases than we do is a very real concern to the community.
Mr. Mayor, let me ask you about your constituency, because obviously, like any good public official, you listen to the people who put you in place there as mayor. Are your townspeople, your constituents, upset about the presence of the detention center, or what's the mood of the city?
I would have to say that our community of 12,000 has handled this extremely with extreme tolerance. They've not been outraged. We've had 3 town hall meetings that their concerns were stated. They've been very calm in doing this, and they've been very caring and compassionate. Early on, there were a great many donations of clothes and shoes for the children, and games and things to keep them occupied. But as time goes on, and as this, we've seen some changes in how the cases of these immigrants are being handled. There can be growing concern about the way this is being handled by the government.
And how are they being handled?
Well, very early on, during the first 2 weeks of the operation, we saw numbers. The very first numbers that we saw were 138 immigrants deported and 12 immigrants released into the United States that were given asylum. This past week, and that was a rate of 10 to 1 were being deported. This past week, there were 68 releases versus 13 deportations. So all of a sudden, it's a 4-to-1 ratio of people being released out into the United States with a very small bond, which a bond of $2,000 or $3,000 is probably not going to get somebody to return for their court date at all.
I want to make sure I understand this, Mr. Mayor, because I was under the impression that in a lockdown, no one was allowed to come in or leave. But you're telling us now that by a rate of 4-to-1, the tide has turned. People are being released out into the United States. We've got less than a minute. I just want to make sure I understand that correctly.
That's correct, and that was for a period that included between the lockdowns. You're correct. Currently, this current week, nobody is leaving or coming.
Fair enough. Mayor Phillip Burch, we hope you will rejoin us as the action continues there at that new facility in your town, Artesia, New Mexico. We thank you for your time this morning, sir, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the not-too-distant future.
Congressman, please call anytime, and thank you.
Thank you, sir, and God bless you. Well, you heard from the mayor, Artesia, New Mexico. Does that disturb you? Why don't you tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum. Now, a Newsmax Now update.